Welcome to Turn Academy. There's been a technical error, so the Monday videos didn't work. If you want to come back another time and have me shoot another and analyze another video, I will. This is the week ending February 16th. Thank you. Welcome. This golfer's got a great setup, but primarily she's got a great tempo in her swing. Very easy, very smooth. I'm going to play this at full speed. Notice there was no rush in that or anything. It was very easy, almost liquid-like. I like the swing. Good position right there at the top of the swing. Trail elbow is on the swing plane. Lead forearm is on the swing plane. Club drops down to the swing plane, clears the hips out of the way, extends down the line, rotates through to a finish. Again, lead elbow on the swing plane. Very well done. I'm not going to critique that at all. If you can just do that over and over and over again, you're going to be a good golfer, and all your friends are going to be envious. This golfer does what we see a lot of golfers do, and that's set up with the shoulders way left of the target line. You can see his feet are kind of on this line going that way, but his shoulders are way to the left of that. We know that because you can actually, if I blow this up now, you can actually see the trail arm considerably below the lead arm. That doesn't straighten up until his takeaway gets to about right here. That's where he would be centered in his golf swing. Unfortunately, what he's done there is he's lifted the club up off the ground in order to get it there. So I'm going to go take this back to the setup position. And I want you to focus on what his hands do in the takeoff. What we want to do is go straight back with the back of our right hand. Just straight back, no rotation of the hands at all. There we see a lot of rotation, not a lot of shoulder turn. We don't see any shoulder turn until about right here. Now the shoulders are square to the swing plane, but look how far outside his hands the club face is. Way outside, so he gets really steep. Now he's going to come even more outside. See how now he's coming down to the outside instead of down under. Now his club is way outside. That's a top, over the top slice if there ever was one, and he even missed the ball. He's a better golfer than that. I think what happens is, for a lot of golfers, is we get too handsy. We start manipulating the head of the club. The club is designed so that if we just feel the head and what it wants to do, and all we do is try to control our body and our arms and hands so they do nothing except turn, we're going to be better off. The big lift right there, if I draw the swing plane in, which you see me do all the time, in fact, I missed that, didn't I? Let's draw the swing plane in. You can see how far above it he goes right away. Those hands are going straight up. When that club now, with his hands where they are, if his hands were back on the green line, the club would be over his toes where they belong. He's going way outside. It's coming way out over the top. See how far over the top of his hands he is there? It's even higher than before. Way up off the ground. Can't reach the ball. Can't get to the ball because he's raised up so much. If you want to see how much the raise up was, we'll just draw another line along the blue of his shirt. See how it's come up? Pulling in and away. Very frustrating when you do that. What we're going to get him to do is swing the club back to the inside, up the green line, down under the green line, back to impact. Now we just saw a golfer who raised the club head off the ground on the takeaway and then swung out over the top and started out with his shoulders way to the left of target. We're almost seeing a repeat of that from a different golfer. You can see the lead arm is well below the trail arm. It needs to be the other way around. The feet are at the target, but the shoulders are way left. So as he takes the club back, he's going to take it way to the outside, lift it up off the ground, pulls his elbow back behind him. So he's really moved the club on a kind of a strange rotating arc, and then he's going to do it even more over the top on the way down. Gets his hands way out. And as he approaches the ball, he's pulled away so much that he almost missed it. This time he just caught a little bit of it. This is what you call standing too close to the ball after you hit it. What he's got to do, and we're going to work on him doing, is a couple of things. One is we're going to get him to stay on the plane if he can. both with the back and the club head. He's got a good setup. But mainly we're going to get him to slow down so he's in total control of what his body does. So we're going to watch the takeaway here. There, the hands are coming up. See how high they get. Now the initial move is out. See that? It's over the top and out. And now the club is way outside the swing plane. See how far out it is? It needs to come from under that line. Good finish, good wraparound, but he's not happy. This golfer wants to be a single plane golfer a la Mo Norman. In order to do that, he's got to get the golf shaft running down parallel to the lead arm. So he's got to get his hands further forward than he has them right there. And you can see that the hands are pretty far back, not in front of the golf ball. As he starts back, he does a nice job of keeping the club low and slow on the takeaway. Gets a really nice wide takeaway here, but never gets the right elbow below the lead arm. Well, maybe a tad bit. What we want to see him to do is really bring that elbow down, which then puts the club out behind him more, and he won't be into the position of flipping the club under. I'm going to blow his hands up there. You see how the right hand is under the golf club, still under the golf club. And look how close he is to his body there compared to where he was here. That's on the way down. So he's scooping. Left elbow's going around behind him, and he pulls in tight to his chest. He's got good turn. He just needs to get that vertical drop going a little better. The Mo Norman vertical drop. I'm going to play this forward in fast motion. She's going to do a practice swing first, and then her real swing. Then I'll stop it, and we'll talk about what happened. There's your practice swing. There's the real swing coming. Kind of catches it out on the toe. Did you see anything that was odd or unusual? Most people will miss it, but what she's done here is when she takes her practice swing, take a look at her feet. There's her practice swing. Now she's going to do a real swing where she's going to swing to the golf ball. Watch her feet. They're in the same spot they were before. So her practice swing can't be at all like a real swing because she's in an entirely different position. I prefer my students not to take a practice swing when they're at the ball. Take it behind the ball. Take it because you're rehearsing what you're going to do. Once you're set up, you should be in the go mode. Get ready, get relaxed, waggle a little bit, and then go. This practicing missing the ball, I don't think is a very good practice method. I would like her to do her practice facing the target from behind the ball. Then when she steps up, she won't be hitting it off the toe. See how the ball's going off to the right? That's because she's catching it on the toe, cutting across it to the left, so she had to reach for it. Golfers that golfed when they were younger, maybe even as young adults, and then gave it up for a while because life got in the way, they had to raise a family or run a business, oftentimes have an older fashioned swing that was okay when they were young, limber, and very athletic, but that tends to erode and go away, that athleticism, as we get older. So it's more important that we create a technique that allows us to use the physical abilities that we have now. The modern golf swing has evolved from a two-plane swing, which is the club coming up steep and coming back down to the inside, kind of like, we'll do a red line here, like the club would come up and then go around and come back down again. That's a two-plane swing. The more modern swing is simply one plane. The club shaft stays on the plane back both directions or close to it. The Plain Truth, the book The Plain Truth, talks about how it's easier and less physical to do the one-plane swing, even in a two-plane setup, which he's in, or almost a two-plane setup. So let's go ahead and clear that out of the way. Just watch what I mean about how steep the club comes up. It's going to be probably up just over the back of her head. There she goes, right up there. That's pretty steep. Notice that it's so steep that the lead arm is going to be pointing down to the golf ball. See that? On a two-plane swing, she would have her lead arm at the top of the swing pointing parallel to the golf club. Or if in blue, I'll draw the golf club inline. This is kind of maybe a little too technological. I don't. That's close. So when she would get up, instead of pointing the club down there, the arm, she'd be pointing it out at about this angle here, out a few feet from the ball. That would create the inside-out swing that we need so badly. She had to do that by dropping that club a long ways to the inside. She did a pretty good job for it, but she wasn't able to square the club up, so she hits it off to the right and hits it out on the toe. Let's see if I can blow that up. You can see that even closer. I put a tee there that I wanted her to try to swing out to. Missed the tee. Catches it on the toe. Doesn't even hit the tee. See that? I want her to swing out over that tee and swing out to right field. She'll do that better if we flatten the backswing a little bit. Modern clubs require a modern swing. This is what we call the two-plane setup, where the arms are hanging on one line, the top blue line, and the club shaft is on another line. The spine tilt is on the white line. What you're going to see here is he does a pretty good job of staying on the plane on the way back, but then everything kind of moves and he gets out of position here. The hands will end up way up on top, and with his elbow behind him like that, he's got nowhere to push but to push the club out away from him. See how far out he is now from where his hands were? And now his back is pulled away, his head is pulled away. So he's going to catch this ball really mainly on the heel. If I can blow that up, we'll clear all the lines out of the way. Yep, see he's coming in. I'm surprised he doesn't miss it entirely. But he catches it in on the hosel. I've actually seen golfers break their shafts by hitting it this far on the inside. That's called a hosel honker. And it is too frustrating for words when you do that. But it's all because that he has taken the club so far outside on the way down that he's leading into the impact with that hosel. We have a pretty new golfer here that has a really good setup. Everything's in a good position. Has a pretty decent takeaway. Maybe the club's a little outside where the hand should be, but she's on the plane pretty nice. Can you see that? Big backswing. There's the over-the-top move. We see that all the time, where instead of letting the right elbow lead the downswing by getting it down and in front of the lead hip, the right elbow ends up being late and never gets underneath the lead arm. So we're coming out over the top again and have that little slice or pull shot that drives us crazy. The way to cure that is from right there, she's in a good position. The downswing needs to start with the elbow going down in front of her hip so that the trail arm, or right arm in her case, gets further under the lead arm. That way she'll come from the inside rather than over the top like that. She'll have more power and more accuracy. But all in all, a pretty good self-built swing up to that point. I've zoomed in on this swing because I want you to watch what the back of the left hand does on the takeaway. The relationship between the hands and the club shaft and your body should stay the same throughout the entire swing. As she starts taking the club back, all of a sudden you'll see that that left hand has now gotten way underneath and it's twisted underneath the club. Very tough. What she does here is what I'd like all my students to do, is learn how to drop that club to the inside. So what we're going to work on is a little bit, because she's got that elbow lower than the other one, but then she's in this awkward over-the-top position because of the position of the left hand. And you can see here how the hands have really blown up and got out of whack. They're not where they were at setup at all. If we go back again to the setup position, you see where they are here? That's where we need to get them to at the impact. This golfer just had one issue today. He had a tendency to either pull the ball hard to the left or hit a big slice, and he couldn't figure out why, what was happening. And I think from this position right here, we can see very clearly what's going to happen. He's got his shoulders pointing on a target line about here, and the actual target line was this house right there. So he's way, way left of where he wanted to be. You can see that as we start the club back, we don't get to see his shoulders square up until about right there. Now they're square. Notice that the shoulders now are parallel to the feet. The feet tell me the target line that he was going for was there. Now his shoulders are parallel left of that, like they should be. The ball should go that way. So let's see what happens. We're going to take it back. He's going to raise way up. It's got a little wobble in his swing. Then he goes outside, and he's pulling way away from the shot because he's so out of position. And he's going to hit this big slicer. It's going to go off and just take off to the right. So we're going to get him to work on maintaining that posture line. Let's clear that out of the way. That posture line throughout the whole swing. Good to there, good to there, good to there. Now here it goes. Up, 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 up. It's straight up and down. No posture left at all. Mostly good mechanics, just a little posture issue and an alignment issue. Once he started lining up the way he's supposed to, he started nailing it right down the middle. Even with the posture issue still there. So oftentimes the most important thing is, how do I get the club face moving to the target with the club face square? Start with stance. We saw earlier in another video what the two-plane setup looks like. This is the one-plane setup, where the club runs up to just about the neck or the middle of the shoulders, standing fairly upright. You swing on one plane. She'll probably go, I haven't looked at this yet, I'm going to guess that she's going to go back and forth just at or under the white line. See what happens. Under the white line. Just good. And then back down. Can she stay under the white line? Yes, she can. Single plane setup. Coming into a single plane at impact. Look at the right elbow tucked in under the lead arm. That's classic where it should be. Bang, there's a ball going straight out on the target line. The only thing she didn't do here that we want her to do is start rotating the club. Let me clear it out. Notice how the club is a little to the right at impact, and the right hand stays under the club. But at this point right now, we should see the glove hand fingers of the lead hand, and we don't see them at all. She pulls it in, and that elbow pulls around behind her. The elbows stay in front of you throughout the entire swing. This is a golfer that suffers from the dreaded reverse pivot, which means instead of pivoting on his lead foot coming into impact, he's pivoting on his trail foot. We can see that if we watch very closely. As he goes back, he's got a pretty good transition. But watch the toes of the left foot come off the ground early. Here they come. You're not transferring your weight and pivoting on that if your heels, only thing on the ground. Then he pivots the leg, but he's still hung way back. Then he moves forward. What we want him to do is begin his downswing by moving the trail knee towards the lead knee. Just like that. And watch this. It doesn't move to it. It stops. He's made his turn. His chest has turned completely, but his torso hasn't turned much at all, his hips. So we get him really to transfer that weight to the lead side, get the weight on the inside of the trail foot instead of on the heel of the lead foot. Good finish, though.